All right, welcome to the Bouncy and Beautiful Voodoo Universe blog. We're here today talking spiritual lessons from Sci-Fi. I'm Lilith Dorsey, and we're going to be talking about all the different doctors that you can find in the Sci-Fi verse. There's a lot of doctors. In this particular picture, you can see a teeny tiny TARDIS on the Red Dwarf ship, which I find very amusing. But I'm here today talking to a friend of mine who's way more of an expert on the Doctor than I am. So, as the TARDIS comes up, let's talk a little bit about how, in a lot of ways, Doctor Who defies this traditional sci fi doctor. The sci fi doctor that we see as embodied originally in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is this kind of man who tries to take mastery over science, take mastery over life and death, really, and reanimate his creation into something that will truly love him. And I think in a lot of ways it's one of the saddest stories, but it's also one of the most noble stories because, he does this out of desperation and love at the same time, which I think is something that we see in a lot of the different doctors. Battlestar Galactica, we see desperation and love as part of the doctor. In Star Trek, we see Bones in the original Star Trek being sort of a paragon of science and knowledge, and in a way sort of playing off the logic that we see, or adding to or layering on the logic that we see in Spock. So that's interesting. So anyway, but that's my first question to you. How do you think the Doctor sort of defies this traditional paradigm of space doctor?
Well, he is more than anything, he's not static. So most of these characters are tied to one place, one location, one story, one group of people. The Doctor is roving. He the stories that he goes to, the places that he's in, the people that he interacts with, they're all transient, and that's something that the Doctor has that no other of the sci-fi doctors really have to consider. So when you're no longer tied to a fixed point, a fixed person, what is it that is the character? What are his drives and motivations? And for the Doctor, this is a question. The Doctor defies the conventional doctors because he does not define himself. He lets it always to a question mark. There's always a mystery about the Doctor. His secrets, his identity, his name, these are just things that mask him, build up an allure, a barrier that most doctors don't have. Dr. Frankenstein, gets convoluted in when we look about it in history because usually when people say Frankenstein, they mean the monster, but they don't mention Frankenstein, the scientist. Don't mention the pathos of Frankenstein, and the Doctor running away from pathos. He he is not a medical doctor. It doesn't seem that there's one specific thing that he's sent to fix or one specific thing that he's a master of other than knowledge itself. So he's not grounded in what we can say as reality, and this fits him. He's always being mentioned as being out of time and out of place. The TARDIS, as you mentioned before, this is his way of traveling from one place to another, and it isolates him in a way that most doctors, even Balthazar, when he's going through the seduction from the Cylons, he's still surrounded, encapsulated, like just has are claustrophobically next to other people. No other doctor gets this space and the choice to be with their patients or the people or situations that they want to be involved in.
I mean, I think that's true. Like, in a lot of ways, he does have this sort of mastery over time and space because he is a Time Lord, because he does have the TARDIS. But I think there's also this element that we were discussing before about how, in a way, he's even more human because he has the extra heart, because he can regenerate. In a way, it's like he's both the doctor and, the Frankenstein doctor and the Frankenstein monster in the same thing, because he possesses this power to be this complete whole, these two sides of things fused together to have these masteries going on. So, well, thank you for listening. We had a 5-minute time limit and we're coming up on that. So let me hear what you think in the comments below. And if you're listening to this and you would so be inclined, I am teaching sci-fi spiritual lessons at the Tarot Society in Bushwick, Brooklyn on May 2nd, 2017. You can Google Tarot Society. I will put a link below if anybody would like to come out for that. It's a sliding scale, $10 to $15, and I would love to hear everybody's thoughts. I'm not just going to talk about the doctor. I'm going to talk about lots of different sci-fi principles and things like that. So thanks for joining us, for watching The Bouncing TARDIS, because we don't want to be on camera, and have a good evening, everybody.